Hey everybody, it's Paul with CDA Software. We're going to go ahead and get started with the third and final video on the main tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the complaint code. So for the complaint code, we will go ahead and capture that as it came over from the RTI providers. So that would be Service Bench, Service Power, and Dispatch.me. If you click right here, it will display all the different types of complaint codes that can be associated with a claim. So if you wanted to manually select one, you would just double click and it would auto-populate and it would change the description. I do want to point out in these two fields, we will auto-populate it from Service Bench, Service Power, like I said earlier. You can also come in here and edit this text as well. So these two lines of text can be edited by you so that you can provide more information to the triage department if you would like. Now let's say you want to go ahead and make your own complaint codes, or you want to edit complaints to your own liking. So what you'll do is you'll go to the utilities, you'll go to complaint code setup, and just like you saw before with our earlier videos, we can right click, we can delete, we can right click, we can do edit, so we can edit the code, we can edit the description, or like we did earlier, we can say add, we can add the code, and we can add the description, and then it'll populate in the complaint code. So that's how that works. Then you'll notice we have parts coverage and labor coverage. When it comes over from the RTI providers, whatever they assigned the coverage as, we will honor that. So this was a third-party job, sometimes it'll be a warranty, and even if it's a COD, it will come over and we will auto-flag it for you. If you're manually typing up your ticket, you would go ahead and set these as well, and you would do that on your own. Over here we have the button called Add Deposit. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So on Add the Deposit, we can say, hey, I want to add a cash deposit, I want to add a check deposit, or the more popular one is, hey, I want to process a credit card. And so you would just go ahead and process a credit card. Now the one thing I do want to point out is that you'll notice this button is highlighted and activated. That means that we have Stripe integration enabled and you can process a credit card on the desktop. If this button is grayed out, that means you do not have Stripe set up and you would need to contact us and we will get you taken care of with credit card payment. And because this is activated here on the desktop, it also means your mobile technicians can process a credit card payment, and you can also send your customers a text link where they can make a credit card payment on their own as well. So that's pretty neat. The next thing we have is show totals, and I'll click on that. And what it does is it'll show you all the current charges that you have going on for this claim. So again, that's going to be show totals, and we will show you all the financial information that's going on with this claim. And what it prevents you from doing, it prevents you from clicking on the billing tab and looking in this area. So it's just a real quick way for you to see important billing information. The next thing you'll notice is we have the primary tech. So this is the tech that's scheduled to go and repair this unit. If you wanted to change it, you could either click here, or if you wanted to see the list, you can click here, and this is going to show you the list of all of your technicians. Close that. And then next, let's say you want to text your technician as a CSR agent. All you would do, because this is highlighted, you would just click right here and you can start a texting conversation with your technician. It's just that easy. The next thing we're going to take a look at is search availability. So what this is going to do, it's going to allow us to search this zip code to see when we can service this customer as quickly as possible, and then we're going to be able to put the customer on the schedule. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, show me availability for that zip code. And what's going to happen, it's going to say, hey, for the next 32 days, you can get to the customer on any of these dates, any of these time bands. So, and all you would do is you would double click. It will say, hey, do you want to add it to the scheduler? And you would say yes, but for our demo purposes, we're going to say no because it's already on the schedule. I'm going to go ahead and say no. That's what that button's used for. And now you'll notice the next button is called Reschedule History. It's a very powerful feature we have here. I'm going to click on that. And what this does is this is going to catalog every time this job was rescheduled. So we have the original date and the rescheduled date. So this was the original schedule date, was for here. We see that it was reassigned to a technician right here in the date to Sean. We see that we now have our first reschedule from the original date to the new date. We have the reason why, so we catalog that. We say who the tech is. We have another reschedule. We cataloged why. We also see that we had a tech change. So not only are we cataloging the original date, the rescheduled date, we're cataloging why. We're also cataloging if there was a change in the technician. So very powerful feature that we have going on for you there. The next thing I want to take a look at is going to be dispatch notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move a mobile phone over here for us to see. So this is our live mobile phone. And what happens is a dispatch note, which we do have a previous video on our YouTube channel that goes into depth on dispatch notes and all of the notes and all of our comment system, but we'll just go ahead and preview it one more time for the main tab. When you click on dispatch notes, you can add a note to the technician that says, hey tech, we need you to do something important. We need this done. And what you would do is you would say, add it. And what's going to happen is because we did a dispatch note saying we need something done, their claim is going to get a red dot. So you'll see it's going to get a red dot. And when they click on the claim, it's going to say they have a dispatch note. So what they're going to do is they're going to scroll. They're going to say, oh, wow, I have a dispatch note. Now what happens is how do we know when the technician read and did what the dispatch note said? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, okay, and I'm going to say save. Notice how the red banner on top went away, and notice how our red dot went away. Now let's see what happened. I'm going to move the phone out of the way. We said, I have a dispatch note. Now I'm going to go to my other test claims. I just want you to see something. When the mobile technician responds back to a dispatch note, this dispatch bar will now turn red. So notice before it was not red because we added the note. It's not until the technician responds back that you will see this red bar appear. But it actually gets better than that. What we're going to do, we're also going to show the scheduling dispatcher that the technician responded back. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here I am in the scheduling dashboard, and you'll notice this is green. This indicates that the technician replied back to a dispatch note. So let's just move this down. We have a red banner, lets everyone in customer service know. And then if you're in the scheduling department, this lets everyone in the scheduling department know that they have a reply back from a dispatch note. And so that's how that works. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the assigned date. This is going to be the original date that the tech started working on the unit. The reassigned date is going to be when the job was reassigned to the tech or when it was reassigned to another tech. And then the schedule date is going to be the actual date that the customer is expecting you to arrive at their home. So that's how that works. You can also click here as a quick button and say add to schedule. So instead of saying search availability, you can hover over here and say add to schedule. And that will add the job to the schedule as well. And then what we have, it says, hey, what's the time band? This is when the customer is expecting you to show up. So I'm just going to click on that. So for this service center, they're set up as all day. They're either set up for AM or midday/PM setup. And this is going to be when the customer is expecting you to show up within those time ranges. And then right down here, it says trip count. And what you'll notice is this has a trip count of 1. So what this means that the technician has already been at the customer's house once. All claims, when they originally come into the system, they have a trip count of 0, which means the technician has never arrived at the customer's house and the technician has never clicked the arrive button. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. So we have a trip count of 1, which means the tech has been to this house once and he clicked the arrive button. So let's take a look at that. I'm just going to click on number 3, and you'll notice I don't have the arrive button selected. So I'm going to go ahead and select the arrive button, and it says marked arrive. I'm now marked arrive. What this is going to do, this is the way that we change the trip count. Now you're not going to see that change on our video just because I don't have it set up to do that, but rest assured, because we clicked, or because the technician clicked that button, that is what makes this trip count go to 1 up. So instead of a 1, it would now be a 2 if they came back again, and if they pushed the arrive button, it would mean that it would go to 3, and so on. So that's how trip count is calculated, and that's how it gets its count to get higher. And now what I want to show you is how to run reports for the trip count. So we're not going to go into a deep dive. I'm just going to give you a surface overview. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the reports menu. I'm going to go to work orders, and I'm going to go completed incomplete jobs report. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to show me all of our jobs in the system that have a trip count. So let's go ahead and click on that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I want to run a report that shows me my trip count right over here. I want to see my trip count report for the last 30 days for the jobs that I have in. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. So it went ahead, it ran the report, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click over here and I'm going to do the sorting on trip count. So what happens is we can see we ran a few jobs 4 times, which is not good. We ran some jobs 3 times, and then we ran a majority of our jobs either 2 or 1 times. So that's how you run the report. And the most important part is that we give you pretty good information here, very good information I should say. But what I really want to show you, because this is again not a deep dive into this report, is that you can export this as a CSV so that you can run a pivot table, and or you can export this data as a PDF and you can send it to your executive team. So that's how trip count works when you want to pull a report. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at Inhouse Sub Status. So if you want to change the Inhouse Sub Status, what you would do is you would click right here and you can say, hey, this job is now completed. So you can type in 650, you can double click, and it will automatically assign it to that new substatus. Again, if you want to change it, you just come right here, you can click, and do you want to send an email? I'll go ahead and say yes. We did that setup earlier because that checkbox is enabled. And then again, we have a log of everything that we did with Inhouse Sub Status. We can check our log, and you can see every time we changed the Inhouse Sub Status, we're going to go ahead and catalog that information for you, so you always have an audit of every time this job changed its Inhouse Sub Status. So that's how that works. Now what we have is the printer icon, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And this is all the various forms that you can print, so we have quite a few. One thing I just want to point out is most people will click on this checkbox. What this is going to do is it's going to open it as a PDF and then allow you to preview it instead of printing it to a traditional printer. So you just want to see it on your screen, you click here, it opens as a PDF. And then what I'd like to do is call your attention over here where it says it's all blacked out. All 3 of these are blacked out, but it says email to customer, to tech, or email to. And you'll notice when I change these different radial buttons, you can email different forms to different people. So this would go straight to the customer, 1 click, straight to the tech, 1 click, or you can say email to, and then you just put in whoever you want to email it to. Let's say it's your RSM, you would put in the RSM's email address and just click send, and they would go ahead and get that pertinent information. So that's what that looks like. We have just 2 buttons left. This right here is Save Changes. When I click on that, it's going to save any changes I did without closing the ticket. Then this right here is going to be a Save and Close ticket. So I just click on that. It's going to save it, it's going to close it, and that will conclude today's video.